Stop talking. I need to start the episode and then start talking again. Just like this.
Okay. Okay.
Great. Welcome to Yalla, episode 10. We're in double digits. Today we have with us a very special guest. His name is Indie Nile. Indie, do you want to say a few words about yourself?
Yes. First of all, I'm very, very excited, and this is very surreal to be with you guys. I still have to stop myself and think, like, am I actually talking to you? Am I listening to you? Because I'm so used to listening to you, but we're here. Yeah, I'm Indie. I'm a drag artist, Palestinian drag artist. I live in Amsterdam, and I've been making videos about Palestine since October 7, basically. And yeah, I've been also a huge fan of your work, and yeah, I featured you guys obviously very much in the last video. By the way, I do this all the time. I'm like, I don't ask to participate. I just like include the person that I like, hope that they will just like ask me. And it worked, so I'm here.
We're very glad that you did that.
Yeah, I like it that you say in the video, like the people are interviewed, and I'm like, I don't remember you interviewing, but fine.
No, well, you're the one. Okay, that was a bit sneaky, but no, like.
No, you interviewed us, you listened, you asked questions, I felt like I was there. That's the funny thing, because
yeah, but
how you edit it in.
Aren't interviewed from the anti-Zionist Jews that I speak with. Like everybody else I interviewed, but you're the only ones that are actually like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that's kind of your shtick, that you edit in and you said like as if like you.
Maybe it is my shtick.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
So, Elik, do you want to tell us where you are? Because maybe our viewers are a little bit confused by what's going on here to see us in separate cameras.
Yeah, because as you can see, we're not doing the usual thing that me and Alon sit usually in my apartment in Tel Aviv behind the ugly painting that it's become like the trademark, so we don't take it away. But so I'm in the US right now in New York. I'm kind of in a journey that I would love to tell more and share more, and I was kind of hoping I would do more broadcasting during the journey because it's very interesting, but I did a bit on my Instagram channel. So if people want to get updated of this journey, they can check there. And I'm basically I ran away from Palestine because I was depressed and couldn't and felt that that I can't really express myself there and feel safe. And I got close to a very good friend. His name is Ahmad. He lives in Seattle. He's a Palestinian from the diaspora whose his grandparents were expelled in 47. It's very interesting, like from, people say 48, like the ethnic cleansing started on 47. And his village is where today Canada Park, where, they planted trees on it like a forest, and it's called Canada Park. And we started talking to each other because of the podcast. And we became really good friends just from having talks on the phone and video chats. And he told me, look, man, it seems you're depressed. Why don't you just come over for a while? And I came and I stayed at his house with his family for a month in Seattle. And now I'm at New York City. I did a trip with two friends two Israeli friends. And now I'm staying in another Palestinian home of another friend, Khader Humeid, who was hosted on our podcast. I think it was second episode or third.
No, it was episode 5.
5, okay.
Yes, I have the list in my brain.
So if you want to see it, check episode 5. So I'm staying at Khader's place, and he is an amazing human being, very insightful and spiritual and radical politically, like everything all together. And I feel like, and also Ahmad, like I feel like it's kind of journey of community building, and Alon is part of it too, because we connect through the journey and we share our vision, and this what we're doing now is part of it. And I'm also doing a lot of concerts with my anti-genocide pro-liberation songs, getting together
on Instagram, right? It's that stuff that nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yesterday we had a house concert in a really amazing person, Sandra, a girl that is like from Syrian origins. Like I did a small, like we performed in front of 3 people. But if people call me and say we have 3 people, I like, it doesn't matter to me, and it feels, and I doing it now, joined me a very amazing musician that on saxophone, Shoam. You also should, he's also like from, now he lives in the US, but he's also from a Jewish Palestinian or whatever you want to call us, or Israeli, I don't know. We will talk about it.
Yes, we want to talk about that.
We'll do it with the whole identity stuff.
Yeah.
I want to ask something, like, I'm surprised it's taken you this long to be depressed enough to want to escape. Like, how did 10 months? How do both of you do it? It's quite intense for like sensitive souls, artists, whatever you want to call it. Like, it must be a mindfuck.
Wow.
I think that's an amazing question, and I want to speak about it. But because you're our guest, I want to please just tell us a little bit about your family history. Like, where is your family from? Just a little bit about your life for our followers who don't know you, and then we will start talking about this. Maybe this will be the first subject that we want to talk about.
Yeah, but that's interesting as she said that, because the friend that you said, Ahmed, he's in 47 and he's from my dad was in 48. They left from a place called Qula, and maybe you guys can one day go and show me what it is like now, because I think it's also a place with only just trees. I don't think it's inhabited. And I follow it on a website called Palestine Remembered. So I'm from somewhere called Qula. That's where my dad was from.
Do you know, like, in which geographical area it is? Like,
it's next to Tel Aviv. I think it's like Lid. It's called Lid, the area of.
Oh, I see. So probably Lod, the city Lod, now called Lod.
Maybe.
Yeah. You know what they did? They changed the name slightly. It's very weird in many places. Lid became Lod.
Yeah. So maybe Elik and I, when Elik comes back to occupied Palestine, we can do a trip and see where Qula is, and do like a live and have you join us, and I don't know, something will happen. Maybe we can do something.
Sounds amazing. Good, yeah.
Because I'm recent. It's so funny, like, well, not funny, haha, but like this whole what's happening since October 7 is more like it happened at a time in my life where I'm kind of trying to reconnect with my dad, who passed away more than 20 years ago. And when he was around, I really was never up for learning about Palestine. I was living in denial about all of that. And now I'm rediscovering it. And it's just really beautiful, even though it's tragic at the same time. So yeah, and my dad was born in 46. So when he was 2, they left to Tul Karam. They grew up in a place called Tul Karam, refugee camp. And then they moved to refugee camps in Jordan, and then they grew up in Jordan. And when he was 19, 20, he moved to Saudi Arabia to, get a better life, make more money. And then from Saudi Arabia, he went to Dubai, where he met my mother, and that's where we grew up in Dubai. And yeah, that's kind of.
So you grew up in Dubai?
Yes.
And you are now in the Netherlands, right?
I'm now in the Netherlands, yes.
So what happened in between? Can you just tell us a few,
Well, I'll be a drug addict. in short. I used to love, like, I used to wake and bake, like weed constantly, like nonstop, like maybe like 20, 30 joints a day. And I used to come here on holiday to Amsterdam, and I'm like, okay, I love it. And also I used to make movies, and there's a big documentary festival here. So I started meeting a lot of producers. So that was another thing. And I just made good friends here, and I used to like partying here, and it's so many things, but somehow Amsterdam became the place. I even tried New York, by the way, once. And I studied filmmaking there, but just never really clicked. I found it way too, almost the opposite of what it gets sold as the American dream in movies. I found it smelly and intense and like, I don't know, like it was just, and I had cognitive dissonance also. I'm like, I should love this. I should love this. I'm like, no, I hate it. No, I should love it. Then I finally accepted, and I'm like, fuck this shit. I need to go to Europe.
Yeah, because I remember in one of your videos you said that that as a young man you really fantasized about being in New York, and it was like a symbol of something. And I guess it's better in the fantasies than in real life. It's better as a fantasy, the city.
Yes, like a lot of things. Like actually, what we learn about a lot of countries around the world comes from Hollywood. As sad as that is, like a lot of our knowledge about countries we haven't been to comes from Hollywood, which is actually, I was watching a video in as I researched my next video about how the Zionist lobby works closely with Hollywood. And like basically Hollywood is like, there's the US is like obviously hard power, the military, but then they call Hollywood kind of like the soft power. They kind of like through Hollywood create ideas, and yeah, it's like, that's something also I'm very interested in these days.
Yeah, the Zionist lobby is a deep rabbit hole that you just start to go into it, and then, oh, wow, they have this branch and they have this branch, and it goes like, I didn't go there so deeply, but we just touched it when we talked with Nathan Jordan about the Christian Zionists, you know, how much power they have, and it's, you know, it's all like web of power that is.
That was a great episode, because actually it really takes it away from conspiracy theory. Because sometimes when I start to tell my friends here in Europe about this, the expression that I see on their faces is like, oh, bitch, don't go down that road of like conspiracy making any sense. And I loved videos like that because it really breaks it down and tells you exactly how, not just an idea. So it's,
I have a lot of issue with this conspiracy theory thing, because I found it many times, and I'm not saying there are not crazy conspiracists like Trump supporters and stuff, but it's an empirical question. Someone tell you, hey, I found this out, and people say it's a conspiracy before they go check it.
Yeah.
And some conspiracies are true. A lot of power is behind what we see, and you need to go deeper to find it. Okay, so maybe there's not like one secret cabal that's controlling the whole world, and but maybe it's not that simple, but there is this tendency of power to get more centralized and to operate in the shadows. All this stuff are true, so we need to.
But the thing is, it's not in the shadows. Like when we talk about the conspiracy theories that are true, I feel like most of it is done in broad daylight. It's just that people are being brainwashed to not care about it or to not see it as a problem. And this connects back to what you said about Hollywood, Indy, because the way that things are being normalized is through culture, through like the cultural impact of the United States and Hollywood specifically, that just normalizes all these things that are done mostly out in the open. And then
like yesterday, I was watching a new movie on Netflix called The Union with Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry. It's like they're all CIA about this thing that's not even CIA or FBI. It's like called The Union. It's something even more in the shadows than that. And they're fighting the enemy. And in the end, it turns out to be Iran, you know. Like, oh, of course it is. They get these actors. I'm watching this. I'm like, wow, this is more than just a movie. Because if you continuously consume shit like this, you start believing anything who's against the empire is a terrorist, basically.
So this connects directly to what is going on right now, 100 kilometers away from me, or 150 kilometers away from me, a bit farther away from you two at the moment, which is like this genocide that is going on right now. It's been going on for over 10 months, which is crazy. And this is out in the open. This is being broadcast on Instagram for the entire world to see. Everyone can see it if they just you know, open Instagram and scroll. You can see footage straight from what is going on right now in Gaza. So many people don't care, and in Israel, in occupied Palestine, under the Zionist occupation of Palestine, most people they completely deny it. They deny that it is going on, and they justify it. This is the thing that the
first you deny, after you can no longer deny, you say, okay, it's happening, but yeah.
And this is the thing, that it's happening in broad daylight. No one is even trying really hard to hide it, and still there's no real possibility to stop it. And so many people around.
Disconnection from what's going on. I saw this representative, the UK representative, I think, of Israel, the kind of like a chubby guy, and he was on some I think it was BBC, and he was being asked about what's going on, the latest thing, and he's like, we have a PR problem. Like, they can't even see that it's like people are dying. It's like, this is a PR problem. It's absurd. It's like,
this is something that needs to be said about the Zionist psyche, that even those who supposedly, like the vast majority, there are some people who care, but this is a small minority. The vast majority, even when they do care, the only thing that they care about is not what is happening to the Palestinians. It's not that people are being killed. It's not, you know, the atrocities. It's how Israel looks when the atrocities are exposed. This is the thing that really bothers them. This is hurting our image in the world, and you see it in like internal discussions in Hebrew inside Israel. You see that this is like the arguments are between people who say we don't care, just kill more and more and more and do more and more and more atrocities, and the main opposition to this is but we look bad. This is like the main argument against this. And the opinion that this is just bad is you know, no one is
and the tragedy now that like they're having this kind of discussions on TV, and then people find them, and the discussion itself is so disgusting that people just see this and are like, fuck these people, like this is how a discussion look there, you know?
Yes.
Like the question if it's morally okay or not, and hey, what are we doing? It doesn't even appear for 1 second.
Exactly. It's a lot about like that's, I think that's why I get the sense from analyzing all how, let's say, liberal Zionists talk about settlers. It's like you're almost like you're embarrassing us. Stop doing this so publicly. Like, let's do this quietly, just one street at a time. We don't need to be so aggressive. Like, let's ethnically cleanse slowly so that the world can like us. It's almost
and let's keep the liberal rhetoric and not say what that's why in a way you prefer the nationalist one, because at least they are saying what they're doing, and you know who you're fighting.
And you actually respect a little bit more. It's frightening, but it's more respectable because at least you're being honest. Like
So I want to tell you, Indy, that I saw your this video that featured us about the Zionist cult, and I think you also had a video about like the Zionist propaganda and how it affects the mind, and you understand the psychology of Zionists. You understand the politics of Israel, the Zionist regime, way better than like the vast majority of people who actually live in Israel and who actually experience this. And one thing is, it's a compliment for you, you can see what is going on through the veil, but also I think it's a testament for how people are crazy here. They cannot see themselves clearly. They don't know how they appear to the outside.
Beyond my interest and my fascination, I think it's also much easier for the outsiders to see, because a lot of the Zionists that reply on my comments, they say, oh, you don't know what it's like here. And to me, that's like someone who's like being abused by the boyfriend they love, and they're like, you don't know, he loves me, he really cares about me. Of course you can't see, you're stuck inside. Like that's the whole, I think outsiders find it much easier to see. But you know, so interesting you say that, because there's an Israeli guy that I know here, a performer in Amsterdam, right? I performed, there's a space called Mizrab where it's just like a storytelling night. A different artists come up and they each get a 10-minute slot. So in December was the first time I met him. I was doing my drag, whatever, shtick, funny, blah, blah. Had nothing to do with politics, right? But when I arrived, I was telling the host, the one who booked us all, like, can I just say just a moment of silence for people of Gaza after my performance? He was like, I don't know about that, which is something very common here in Europe, because they think the second you say, I want to say something in Gaza, they're like, you hate Jews. So it's like, I'm like, no, I'm just talking about Gaza. It has nothing to do with Jewish people. But anyway, you have to go along with this because that's how people are. So, but the Israeli artist was right there. He's like, I'm Israeli and I don't mind. Please say that. I'm like, oh, great, fantastic, you know, so cool. But then he got up and told his story. It was like a 10-minute story about the Holocaust. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. Like that, it was he's, by the way, very intelligent, very charismatic, knows how to tell a story. Like he's very smart, funny guy who responds to the thing, to like the audience reactions. And I thought, okay, great. But how is he like not mentioning Palestine at all as this is going on? Just at least a small reference, you know? He's just talking about the Holocaust, and then after that, both of us did this weird, polite thing where like, oh, let's meet, because I'm Palestinian, he's Israeli, like we have to meet, and obviously we never met. And then last week, I was performing at the same place, and he had another slot, and we haven't seen each other since then. And again, he got up and told a different story about the Holocaust for 10 minutes. And it was on a comedy kind of like night. So I'm like, and it's great. I don't mind. Like, you can tell about the Holocaust and you're a great storyteller, super engaging. But like, I just got an epiphany as I was watching him. I'm like, this is a guy who's so bright, but he's just stuck in this persecution. I had almost felt sorry for him. I was like, fuck, he really can't tell anything outside of that. It was almost like he's begging the audience, like, please forgive us about what we're doing, don't hate us, but he was going about it the wrong way, as opposed to how people like you guys go around, where you just call it, you acknowledge what's happening, and he's almost like he doesn't see it or doesn't want to see it. It was very bizarre. Very...
You know, sometimes I feel like the tragedy that I feel, like Zionists think they're so helpless, right? And I feel if all the Zionists would do what we do, there would be like peace, security, prosperity in Palestine tomorrow, you know? Because they actually have the material power. They can do it. And they behave helpless. And then they drive the whole world to a war and genocide that will backlash at them at some point. And they don't see it. And then, like, when you were speaking, I felt so much anger because it's this frustration that you see how clear it is. And you have nothing to do about it because, like, we talk with each other and I think we do important work. I thought about, like, what you do and our podcast with it. It's kind of to understand the psychological mechanisms, the emotional mechanisms. And I still don't know how to dismantle it because it's like telling someone, like you said, in abusive relationship, if you come and say, hey, you're in an abusive relationship, he will tell you, like, most of the time, like, fuck you.
Exactly. They would stop talking most of the time because they don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is why I think that the title that you gave the video, the cult of Zionism, is very accurate, because we've been talking about, Elik and I have been talking about this in these terms, a cult, for several months now. And I remember I was traveling through Europe, I think it was around 2 years ago, and this was, people were, whenever I said I'm from Israel, people were interested, not as much as they would be now. Now it's like something that all the world is looking at Palestine, right? It was something interesting for people. So they asked me about it, and I already used these terms of cult even 2 years ago, because I saw that there's like no real way to talk to the people about what's going on here, that they are completely resistant to actually acknowledging reality, to actually acknowledging what is going on. And this helped me see how much this is a cult. And I think that when you use these terms, you really understand, it helps you analyze the situation much better. Some people will say you're just using words to be provocative or to offend or whatever, but I don't think so. I think that this is a really constructive way to talk about it, and this is the correct terms to use. And when you start using these terms, you really understand what is going on better. You're not just like, oh, what, these people are crazy. I don't know how to respond to it. Yeah,
I got the idea, and I felt the permission within myself to use that term cult because of people like you guys that call it the cult. Because if I call it a cult, you'd be like, okay, of course, the crazy Palestinian guys calling these people cult. But I was like, all right, so I've heard like now 5, 6 clearly intelligent, critical thinking Jewish people call it a cult. So I'm like, oh yeah, okay, so there's something here. So I started like digging more into that. But it's so funny, one Zionist wrote me a comment on my video calling you guys and everyone else in the video, these are a bunch of extremists. I had to laugh. I'm like, they're extremists. You're not. Like, it's literally defending like rape and whatever is going on. And how is it that anti-Zionist Jews are being called extremists, but like it's so upside down?
Because to them there is a spectrum of this is part. Okay. So let's go deeper. When we call it a cult, one of the aspects of why it is a cult is because there are things that you can talk about and things that you can't talk about. There are things that you can and should say, and there are things that you can't and shouldn't say. And inside Zionist society, there is a spectrum, not a very broad spectrum, mind you, of things that are inside the correct form of discussion.
Yeah.
You can be a leftist, but a leftist means that you're for the two-state solution and you acknowledge like the humanity of Palestinians, and that's basically it. And you're like, I'm for peace, I'm for peace. We're all the same, I'm for peace. This is like the and then you will be called self-hating and crazy and stuff like that. But okay, it's like okay to say. We hate you, but it's okay to say. But things like Elik and I say, things like this is occupied Palestine, things like I said on the latest video that I put on Instagram, like I said this is Palestine, and I put the camera on the ground and I said Haifa is an occupied Palestinian city, and I put the phone and I showed here is Palestine, here is the ground of Palestine.
Yeah, and I wanna say something about this because I shared Alon's video, which he says, yeah, I'm in an occupied Palestinian city called Haifa. And some like liberal leftist friend that I like very much, he's a beautiful, very loving person, but he wrote me, how could you say that Haifa is an occupied Palestinian city? Because we, the left wing, we're used to say it only about the West Bank and what happened after 67. But I wrote to him, but listen, man, it's an historical fact. It's not my opinion. It was a Palestinian city with majority of Palestinians. Then it got occupied, and most of the people there were kicked out by force. So it is that's the definition of occupied city, and it's even worse than most of the occupation that was before, because they kicked out the people, the Ottomans didn't kick out the people, the British didn't kick out the people, they were very brutal, but they didn't ethnically cleanse the population. Like what the Zionists did is the most cruel form of occupation that can be. Because we're talking about settler colonialism, it's people who are coming. It's the most ruthless thing because it's people who cut ties with their original homeland and they're coming to replace the population. That's why it's always involved like ethnic cleansing and genocide. These things are built into this kind of thing. But his mind couldn't, and I told him like, it's not my opinion. I just stating facts, and he couldn't accept it,
But how did it end? Like, how does a conversation like this end between someone you obviously love and you think he's nice? Like, what, do you just hang up, or do you, what do you say in the end?
Like, it was really late. I wrote him a message and I told him, like, listen, Yuda, I love you, I appreciate you. I am an anti-Zionist just because the reason you don't accept that I told him, I think what you do, that you look at the conflict as if the occupation started in 1967, it's not accurate historically, it's not accurate ethically, because the fact that something was done a few years later doesn't, like, ethically, it's the same kind of crime. And then he gave me some, like, just Zionist justification, and we said we will talk again. But, like, it wasn't like, I was like, he wrote me and I was like, yeah, I know these arguments, I don't accept them, but it's too late for, like, now endless back and forth. But
so it's kind of like a let's talk about this at another time vibe, kind of like.
Yeah.
But would you actually talk more about this?
I don't know. It's a person that was very kind to me, and I really liked him before, and I don't want to. And if there's some chance for a conversation, I would like to have it. But he's older. He's in the age of my parents almost. He's an actor. He's an actor that participated in a show that I was the musician.
Wow.
And I really like him as he's just like, there's some kindness in him that you know, you cannot not like him when you meet him on person. But he's like, you know, even more his generation that connected to all this old Israel vibe with the accordion, and we came here and we were so small and socialist and sweet, and there was like cute culture that I grew up on, you know. My parents used to put this music as a child and I loved it. And you know, I think there's some kind of stuff that I want to say, that I think people who see only the horrors of Zionism, they don't see the stuff that, and I don't think it's the time now, but it's created also like a lot of cultural beautiful products, like music, like some kind of a culture that I grew up upon. And I think for people like my mom, for example, that I say I deny me being Israeli, I deny the Zionist endeavor, she's like, but it's our culture. Why do you shit on our culture? You know, it's nice culture, but it's kind of two sides of the same coin, and it's hard, like, not to reject all of it. And I don't know.
Yeah, wow, that's really wow. That's very, I don't know how to react to that, but I mean, like, I don't think you're shitting on your culture, because you, especially like from the outside looking at you guys, people like you give hope to everyone who's watching this. Because before I even started diving in, the only silver lining that's come out is knowing that there are, and I even hate the term anti-Zionist just because it's so reductive. Like, it reduces your whole life to anti-Zionist, as if you don't exist outside as human beings.
For me, I'm also anti-Zionist. I'm all
exactly.
kinds of stuff, but I'm also anti-Zionist. I can be many things.
Just that you're kind of ethical, moral, sensitive people who refuse to take this bullshit. Like, that's what it is. And I don't think you're shitting on anything when you do that. I think, you reject, but it's like, again, to go back to the cult thing, like, in order to leave a cult kind of like thinking, yes, you are going to leave something, which is very sad, but I think you guys are, and the relationships that you've built and your families, I mean, that never has to go. But that's one other smaller crime that Israel has committed beyond the big war crimes, is that it's fucked people's. I think that's another thing.
Yes,
it's destroyed friendships and
that's a crime that is horrible enough within itself. Of course, there are many crimes that are several levels above and beyond how horrible this is. But if it was only this, it was horrible enough. You know, it's like this is the thing with Zionism, with such crimes, that even if it was just the small part, it's still horrible, and then you go and it's another level of horrificness and another level and another level, and it never ends.
Well, I have another question, if you don't mind, because we go back to the question that I asked.
Well, usually it's us interviewing the guest, but maybe this is nice that you are interviewing us. I think it's good.
I speak for a lot of people who watch your channel, don't live in Israel. I think like to know how's life like there, because you hear this like anti-Zionist and people are fighting and you're fighting with your family, but what is the day like if you were to go out in the street and you're wearing a keffiyeh and you have like what is life like there?
I would not. This is the thing that I would never do. Like the way that Elik is dressed now, if he were in Israel and he would, what would you think? What do you think would happen?
I would go outside my house 5 minutes in the tikva. I think I would be lynched. I don't know. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but curses, like I wouldn't do it. It's just the thing that you wouldn't do, you know? It's the kind of the things that you wouldn't do because you feel you cross the line from being brave to being stupid.
But you know, Elik, maybe we should start pushing the line a little bit. Maybe we should, like, because for Indie, he didn't think that this is like what would happen if you did this, and for us it's like no, we don't even ask this question, right? We cannot. It's like too crazy.
I'm just scared. I'm scared, you know. I'm not. People tell me I'm brave a lot, but you know, like part of I'm brave on the internet because the direct response, you don't get it. You do something in your house in front of the camera, it's scary. You know that there's going to be consequences. I don't want it down, you know. It is brave because if it wasn't brave, we would see more people doing what we do, I guess. But you don't get the curses right away. You don't get the violence right away. And I'm a sensitive person. If someone starts to shout at me on the street, it's not that I know what to do. Maybe I will start crying.
That's cute. Well, I think, you know, I feel when you were saying that, I felt really resonated because a lot of people call me brave, but I find myself not brave at all. Like I do this also on the internet, but like one of that I would love to do is visit Palestine, but I'm so fucking scared. Like the idea, I'm paralyzed with fear just when I think about it. What will happen? Will they shoot me? Will they kill me? And I'm like, okay, then I won't go. I'm so scared.
Do you have what passport do you have?
Jordanian.
That's a little bit problematic. I don't like. Do you think they would let you in even?
That's the thing, because I have a friend, a Dutch friend. She often goes. She does like dance and art therapy for like Palestinian women. She goes with a group. She went to, I think, once with Gabor Mate. She knows Gabor Mate. They go on healing groups, and she was interrogated here at because when you take the Israeli airline from Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam, it's a whole other section. Most of the interrogation happen and the screening happens here. So when she arrived, it's actually much smoother. But she was like for 3 hours being in, and she's a blonde Dutch girl.
She flew on El Al, the Israeli airline. Okay.
Yeah. And but it's the whole other section, like the section where to go to Israel, like you see guys with the guns at the airport, like it's already, you feel like it's just terrifying. Just the sight of it is terrifying. And I'm like Elik, I really I don't like fighting and physical fighting and people screaming. I'm not that type of person at all. So any kind of violence is always like, okay, let me go in the opposite direction. So, but it's my dream. It's my dream to go. I would love it.
Yes, obviously. But and I think maybe it's a good idea to try to make it happen. And I'm just thinking, you know, live here. Like, what if you flew KLM? Would that change things? And what if you came inside like a group of Dutch people and for like an event? Like, what if there was like better cover, you know?
Well, I think the intelligence services are probably watching interviews like this.
No, I don't think they are. I don't think they care about us. I don't think they care about us. I don't think they have more important things to do. Maybe I'm being naive. But I don't feel like the Zionist authorities really care about people like Elik and I think, I don't know if they care about you, but I think that we are not a threat yet.
Yeah, I think definitely me neither. Like, but I think it's more, another thing that I'm scared of is, can I handle watching those young 20, 21-year-old soldiers humiliating people? I don't know if I'll probably, even though I get scared, but if you push me, I will do something stupid that will probably get me in jail or get me shot. Like, if you put, like, I don't think I can handle seeing injustice and not open my mouth. So I don't know, but also these are stupid things, because I watch Palestinians that live there in the West Bank and Gaza and how they have to accommodate and mold themselves, and you do things to get along, to adapt in whatever society you live in, of course. So I don't know, maybe one day. I definitely feel that day is coming, and I would love to meet you guys there.
I was just about to say, you always have a place to stay in Haifa.
Yeah, I thought like if you come, we can try to do that. You meet the cool anti-Zionist community and hang out with us, and I'm sure you can find cool Palestinians who can host you, and we will find your way to feel safe and nice,
Yes, well, yes, one day, yes, maybe after this specific tough period is over. I don't know if it's going to be over, but it's
we've been talking about like after this, but it's been going on for over 10 months, and it doesn't seem like every week I think like maybe this is the will be the end of it, or the end of like this specific horrific time, right?
This one, yeah.
But it doesn't seem like it, and it's going on and on and on. And I've been
why? You know why?
Why?
Because it's a genocide. Every day that they go on with it, it's proved to me that genocide is the intent. And the length of time holding people in that conditions just prove to me that this is the case. Because you don't go for short time to do a military operation, and they have longer plans for this. They want to exhaust the place. They want to bring down everyone. I think, like, why?
You're absolutely right. Because like if you think of it, like if we're going to talk about the military goals of destroying Hamas, like they to kill the leader of Hamas in Iran, which is a sovereign state that they are scared of, a sovereign state that has nuclear power. And you want to tell me you can't find Hamas in Gaza? Like, you can do it so targeted in a country that you have no control over. So I don't think, I think this is indeed about getting all the Palestinians out, whether dead by disease or however, whatever way, but they need to get them off this land. And that's the goal. I think that's, it's to finish what didn't get finished in 1948. Like that, if I'm going to remove my emotions, we're going to talk about this as a movie. I think the biggest mistake the Zionists did is not kill every single one of us in 1948, honestly speaking, because then it would have been over. But I don't think it's ever going to be over, because Palestinians are there and they're going to keep resisting. And I don't know.
Yeah. And I think like you can say many things about the Palestinians. They made a lot of mistakes along the way, like their leadership and But I think the reason this thing didn't succeed is because Palestinian resistance and the fact that they never gave up, like not for a single moment, like it's the Palestinian resistance consciousness or the sumud or whatever you call it, like that you're not going to erase us, guys, like we're here, like and I think part of the resentment that the Zionists have, because Jews didn't behave like this in the Holocaust. I must say it honestly, and they didn't confront the real brutalizers, right? They went to Palestine and did what they did. They didn't go to Germany. They didn't go and said, "Hey, you fucked us up. You pay. You give us new place."
Fuck, that's such an insight. That's, as Oprah would say, that's an aha moment. Yes, it's almost like a weird jealousy, kind of maybe jealousy is too, but it's almost like, we wish we behaved this way.
Yeah, because the Palestinians, they do internalize, I think, the oppression, but to certain extent, like but they didn't. They're still like have this pride, and I feel like when I encounter like they don't accept the internal oppression.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the victimhood is not tolerated. The victimhood mentality.
Yeah.
Almost the opposite with Zionists. Zionists, like they just want, like that guy that was giving the story. Again, amazing, intelligent. Other than this conflict, I would love to get along with him, but it's almost like there's a part of him that can't see how much he's talking like a victim. I think it's a trap of some kind of like, please feel sorry for me always. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. Wow, I think if I say what I said now to my father or to people, they would want to like, they think I've gone completely mad.
Yeah, so you were asking what's it like to live here, and there are many ways to answer this question, but like one example that I can give is that like when I meet new people, okay, and some of them are really nice, you know, friends of friends, and like people I would want to get to know in any other circumstances. But then, you know, what is one of the first questions that I get asked? What do you do? You know? And right now, what I do is I fight for the freedom of Palestine, right? This is like the main thing that I do. And I can't say it. I can't say it. We like me and my girlfriend, we met a friend, like one of her friends, and he came to visit, and we were sitting and talking. And I found myself saying, yes, I have a YouTube channel. I talk about political issues. And I didn't specify more than that. And this is a guy, like, we talked, and he's good-hearted, you know, he's intelligent. There's no problem, okay?
Yeah.
He's he's a good person. But I saw on his shirt, I saw the yellow ribbon, like he had a pin of the yellow ribbon. And I was like, okay, I understand where he is politically. This is the place that good-hearted people go to inside this cult, okay? Like,
the yellow ribbon is like free the hostages
yes.
thing.
Yes. So free the hostages. I care. You know, excuse me?
The ones, all the guys at the UN, the Israeli delegation at the UN is constantly wearing them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even Netanyahu is wearing this yellow ribbon, which shows how insignificant and meaningless it is, okay?
The guy who is murdering the hostages right now,
yes,
carrying this thing, and people follow him and they tell us, you don't care about the hostages.
But I understand where he's coming from. I understand that he thinks of himself and genuinely is a caring person, and he wants to care about his environment, and he wants to do good. It's almost not his fault. I don't know. It is. I think people have responsibility, okay? Ultimately, they have responsibility. But it's like so hard to step out of this brainwashing that even well-intentioned people, when they try to do good, it becomes so, you know, detached from reality and warped into something that is at the very best meaningless, and at worst damaging, you know.
But my question then to you guys, how much can you handle of this, you two, before you're like, fuck this, I'm done? How much can you take?
I'm answering this. I don't know.
Because I don't know. I'm asking myself, like, I have a ticket back in 3 weeks from now, and something in me just doesn't want to come back. And I'm sorry, like, you know, Alon, I love what we do, and I feel that one of the only things that drives me to go back is this collaboration, because we were way more productive and close when I was there. But I don't know, like, I don't want to feel, you know, like that I need to hide this. I don't want to feel that that I'm scared what will happen if a song I write will succeed too much. Because I feel like the music I write now has a potential to reach a lot of hearts and minds, and I hope and I want it. At the point of making music if you don't want it to reach hearts and minds. So, but I cannot. I have when I'm there. There's some kind of something that kind of wants me to fail, so I don't become too famous, and then people hear about me and want to, you know, destroy me. So, because that's what I'm scared, you know. I see how they ruthless on the Palestinians. And it's a system that if it wants to mark you as someone who it wants to destroy, they have no limits.
Yes.
They shot, you know, there was this guy who they killed his whole family with 2 babies. You saw this one? He was away and they killed the mother, the grandmother, and his 2 babies because his wife was posting stuff in social media. She did what I do.
This is
but she's Gazan, okay?
Right?
She's Gazan. You do it to Gazans, but if you can do it to them, they could do it to us. It's not that they care about us, and if they that's why I'm scared. I don't know. That's why everyone should be scared, because this system are so cruel and don't care about human life. But so I don't know.
Yes, and but I think someone once said that it's a war on women and children, and I feel like because that's like women and children are life in a way. On people, and it's But do you have another passport? I think like do you have some other nationality or no?
Yeah, I have I don't know how many privileged Israelis, but I have a French passport. I don't speak French. I don't know anything, but I have a French passport. So I could go to Europe very easily.
So I'm not as privileged, and I must say that I'm jealous of you, Alec, because you have this possibility. I don't know. Like, to me, when you ask why do I stay, like my mind goes to so many different places, and it's all like a mess. Like I don't like. To be honest, one of the main reasons that I'm staying is laziness. You know, fear. I don't know how to, like, I don't have any place to go. Where would I go? What would I do? Like, this is where I was born. This is where I've lived all my life. Yes, I'm a man of the world. I speak English. I speak a little bit of other languages, and I can, like, it's not like other Israelis. Most Israelis are very provincial, and they can't really step out of Israel and build a life somewhere else, most of them. But I'm not like that. I think I could. But it's like difficult and it's scary. And so this is a pragmatic reason why I stay. And then there are other reasons, and I wonder if it's real reasons or reasons I just tell myself out of convenience, like to justify my own like convenient choices. And like one of the reasons is that I feel like I have work to do here. This is maybe the deepest reason, that it's like. So I told in this video that I put about this experience that I had. So Alec was playing together with Ayelet. You were playing the song Palestine or Palestine in Ayelet and Dan's place, and I saw the tree, and I saw the sun glistening on the tree, and I heard Palestine speak to me through this tree. And this is an experience that it's a symbolic, but it's symbolic of something that is very, it's a deep process that I'm going through of like, I always felt like I was disconnected from the earth. Like ever since I was a small boy, I was in my mind a lot. You know, I was thinking about mathematics, you know, and physics and philosophy and stuff like that, like high things, like things that
you swim easily in those realms.
Yes. And what I didn't have was a connection to the earth, to the ground. And I feel like this is no coincidence and no accident, because I feel like when you are born to such a cult, a colonialist project, whatever you want to call it, but we all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow you to grow roots into the earth. It doesn't allow you to really connect with the earth because it's not your home, not really. Like the Zionists always say haaretz, the land, like our land, this land, our land, haaretz, the land, and everyone knows.
That's what.
Yeah.
So the newspaper is called Our Land. Okay.
Like it's the land, literally, but when Israelis say haaretz, it means this land, our land. Like this is the connotation.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is again a lie and like overcompensation, because I feel like Israelis are not really connected to the land because the land is Palestine. This is just words, right? It's just the name of the place doesn't really matter. But I think when you call this place Palestine, the meaning of what you do is different than from when you call this place Israel. If you call this place Israel, you have one attitude, and if you call this place Palestine, you have another attitude. And when you call this place Palestine, you're really connected to the earth. You're really connected to the history of the place. You're really connected to nature. You're really connected to the trees, to the animals, to everything that is going on in this actual land. And when you call this place Israel, I think you are more connected to the project, to the cult, to the lies, to the violence, to the military, to all these structures that are not good structures to connect with. And I always hated them, all of them. I was always allergic to this. And then, like, I didn't have anything to connect with. And maybe I will get to the point. And the point is that being here physically is one of the things that is allowing me to actually connect to the land, to reclaim this thing. And I don't know, I've been starting to call myself Palestinian more and more. And like, what does it mean?
Yeah, it's, when I hear you guys talk, like, it becomes more, it answers the question that I wanted to know, which is like, to make it more humanized, for me to understand what it feels like to be there, rather than ideas with words like abstract words like cult and stuff, which are very meaningful, but still but I think it feels like you're both, like all of us around the world, are in a process that Israel's latest genocide has kind of put into, the next gear. And forcing us all to think about stuff. And I relate to you so much. For me, like I've never felt connected to anywhere I am. Like airports are the place where I always feel strangely at home the most in. It's like untethered from anything. I'm like, oh wow, this makes sense. I get it. But yeah, it's crazy. Like I would be very curious to see where you guys would be in 5 years. And because when as difficult as change is, sometimes I think the only way change happens, like I know this from me, for example, quitting drugs or doing things that I never thought was possible for me. Like I changed when staying the same became more painful than the change. Because change, sometimes staying the same becomes like, oh, fuck this, I cannot, this is not. And I think everyone trying to change something reaches that, they're like, oh, I can't believe I was waiting. Not that the change is that you should leave, because I love also what you said, that you need to stay to make change, but some change will happen. I don't know what it is, but yeah, because I think ultimately this land has to be equal for all. That's the only final solution that makes sense.
It's really the only thing that is even remotely possible in my like when I try to imagine like what could happen. That's the only thing that I think.
Because you are very different than the settlers who moved there from Brooklyn and now wants a home. You are born there. This is your home. So in a way, it's like there needs to be a solution that is also fair to people like you and the Palestinians who live there, and also to be able I would like to visit as well and not have to go to jail or get shot. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are people.
It's very ironic. It's very ironic and symbolic of how twisted the situation is, that people who weren't born here and who don't have a connection to this land, to this actual land, can come here freely and do whatever they want and join the army and participate in the genocide of people who were actually born here. And people like you, whose father was born here, cannot, like, you can't come here. Like, how, if you want to prove that Zionism is a problem, this is, like, I don't need anything. I don't need anything else. I don't need to know anything else about Zionism. Yeah. This, like, fact to see the problem, right?
So funny, and I've been watching.
And you know, and it's funny because I'm talking to you, and I was traveling here with two like Israeli friends. That one of them is, I feel he's in the process of being more where I am, but he still have a lot of problem with me being so. He feel like they told me, like, it feels like you're not concerned about the safety of the Israelis at all, and you say right of return and full justice, but what will happen? Like, it will turn to be a Palestine in 2 years. We become insignificant minority, and then the Jewish population will have no rights, and it will become an Islamic country or whatever. Because look all around the Middle East, they don't have democracies there and blah, blah, blah. You know, all these talking points. But when I'm talking to Zionists, I find it very hard to refute it because they tell me, why would I buy into a solution that compromise my safety? And
yeah, I get.
And like, but you guys are now you're the party that committing genocide. You understand that in order to make this kind of concern, which is legitimate for any human being, you need to stop, kill, and occupy people, and then we can talk about your safety. But
exactly. Just that I think there's so many fallacies in that. First of all, it's not a democracy, because how can it be a democracy if only one ethnicity is superior? So there's that. But I think the idea of their fear is legitimate, because I too would be afraid if I was oppressing somebody. I would be very afraid if I suddenly, open the gates. Like, the legitimate fear of, like, this person, this caged animal who's been caged for 70 years, what is he going to do to me? So I think they it's okay to be afraid, but I don't think we can go from point A to point Z in like this. I don't think we open the gates, yalla, all of you live together. No, people hate each other so much at this point. There needs to be things that we are not, obviously it's above my pay grade. I'm not a politician to know what the steps are, but there needs to be steps. But the point Z is where we need to go. But obviously we cannot jump to it. But we need to think realistically how we can get there. Like how in the United States, for example, Democrats and Republicans hate each other, but they don't kill each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or maybe they do. It's
they
like,
don't kill each other, they kill the Palestinians. That's I'm sorry for making this joke, but it's a dark joke. But I think it's true,
Yeah, it's a very, I think their fears are legitimate, but sorry, that's what you get when you oppress people. Like, you're gonna have to. That's why most people who commit crimes don't stop, because, like, what if you stop now? Like, when then you have to pay back and apologize, and like, it's like,
and for Zionists, they think that if they acknowledge, it means we have to go back to our original countries that we already cut ties with. And it means that we have to be a minority that is unsafe again, like we were in the past, because they think this fear of being minority is embedded in us. And like, but the funny thing is, let's say the Jews here in the States are not a minority, because they're not only Jews, there are many things and they're also Jews. But first of all, if you live in a good society, so your ethnicity doesn't make you a minority. It makes you just having another identity that you choose how much it's important for you. It could be very important. It can be not so important. I don't think the fact that I have Jewish background would mean so much to me in a free Palestine. It will mean something, but I'm also a straight guy, but I also have a sensitivity and very female side that is also exists, and I'm a musician and so many things, you know.
Yeah, and I think this idea also, first of all, I think this idea that that being Jewish is a hindrance to you in Europe and the US it's not true. Like, you know, in terms of getting a job or opportunity. Not that I think that's a bad thing, but I think it's just a very false idea to say that life is difficult for Jewish people outside. You know, don't think that's really true. But also, like, there are so many minorities around, like being Muslim is a minority, being gay or whatever. Like, you're always some people are a minority somewhere. But you know what's very interesting hearing this, like, and I think Israeli society maybe needs really, maybe therapy is too simple a word, but like there needs to be, how did we get to the point where people's religion is a nationality? Like, I feel that is already a kind of absurd in itself. Like, Judaism is beautiful, like practice it with God, with your, I mean, I'm not religious, but I think any religious person do whatever they want with their religion. But it shouldn't be a nationality. That's something between you and your creator, and you read your holy book and lovely and enjoy it. But like, why is it a nationality? That's what I don't understand. Like, why does it have to be a border country?
I think it's not. I don't accept it as national. I think it says, you know, it's a Zionist invention that started in the end of the 19th century, and it succeeded to, and most of Jews bought into that, but it wasn't what Judaism was for thousands of years. Like Judaism, like listen to Yaakov Shapiro, this rabbi. He says, we are people because we are united by God. That's how we view. And that's the meaning of being Jewish people. We have the same job description. That's it. So for me, as a secular person saying I'm a Jew, I don't know what it means necessarily. And I think that just definition of Judaism expanded over the years. It's not only a Zionist thing, but I don't think anyone can claim to say I'm the authority to say what Judaism is, but viewing it as a nationality that needs a territory and army and all this kind of stuff, I think it's completely distorted way of looking at Judaism.
Exactly, very distorted. And I feel the problem is the framing that the issue is Palestinians hating Jews, because it's so silly, this idea, as if like Palestinians would be like, oh, if Christians were oppressing us and stealing our land, then it's, you know, great. You know, I've never met a Palestinian who hates Jewish people. Like, my dad never said anything against Jewish people. Maybe there are some Palestinians who do, but that's not the concept. The concept is always like, fuck, they stole our land.
Yes.
Say, oh, those Jews. Like, I've never heard it personally said.
Yes.
So the idea, if people were from Mars and they were doing this, you'd hate them as well. Like, it doesn't matter where they're from.
Yeah, so, there's a very famous interview with Sheikh Ahmad Yassin of the Hamas, who founded, and he tells it to Israeli camera, if Muslim would do it to me, I would react exactly the same way.
Exactly.
So we were talking a lot about what it means to be Jewish, to be Israeli, and I want to ask you, Indy, because I saw one of your videos where you talked a lot about like embracing your Palestinian identity. And I want to ask you, maybe you can tell us even more about this process, what the Palestinian identity means to you, because you come at it from you weren't born here, right? You never visited, right? You've never visited Palestine.
No, never.
So what does the Palestinian identity mean to you, where you are in this process, and maybe where you imagine it might go?
Yeah, for me, Palestine is something, while I appreciate what you guys do and what we're all people like-minded people are trying to do, at the moment, it doesn't exist. What exists is Israel, like realistic, practically speaking. So, and I grew up with that idea that it's something that was lost, that was taken. It's an idea, it's a dream, but also deeper than that, like to take it away from philosophy, I had a lot of shame about being Palestinian. Because first, when my dad married my mom, he's Palestinian and my mother's Lebanese. And her parents disowned her because she married a Palestinian. So it was like kind of already like a disgusting thing to marry. Yeah. And I met my grandparents when I was 14, 15, because we were children of a Palestinian guy, and Palestinian is like disgusting.
I'm frankly shocked. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe if you could elaborate on this, like,
well,
what is the attitude towards Palestinian in the Arab world, and why it's like that?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, because in the Arab world, officially, it's the cause, it's the Palestinian cause. We all have to care about it. But I think a lot of people don't like Palestinians because it's like, this, for a certain segment of Arabs, like the more richer Arab countries, it's like, why can't these people just go away so we can get along with the US and just get it over with? Like, why are these people in the way? Like, they're like cockroaches that need to be erased. That's kind of like the energy. And for Lebanon, because after what happened in Israel, when a lot of Palestinian refugees went and lived in Lebanon, the society was also rejecting them.
Like, yeah, because Israel showed that it has that they have no problem destroying Lebanon because of the Palestinians, and it's not because of it's because of what Israel have done, but it's like...
Exactly. It got projected onto the cause, like, because these people entered and then we started getting killed. So they're not loved, let's say, but there's like a lip surface that's being paid to that. Like, every time there's a war, they make a song, oh, we love Palestine and stuff like, but that's just performance. Of course, a lot of people are in support of Palestine as individuals, yes, for sure. But my grandparents themselves, they're also Druze, like my mom's parents, so they were already not happy with her being married outside, but the fact that he was Palestinian was like, fuck no. So they were like, no. And my dad, poor guy, he was like always sending this group of men to apologize just for being like, ask for forgiveness. I love your daughter, I'm taking care of her, blah, blah. This went on for 15 years and then they forgave her. So I met them when I was very old. But also, interestingly, when my parents would fight, my mom would always make fun of his Palestinian accent. And that for me already like instilled this idea that being Palestinian, ew, like, just like, ugh. Even the accent. And now I'm coming into a very different place of like, when I hear people in Gaza, like, it's almost like I'm learning how to be proud. When like yesterday, for example, I watched this guy who's studying and completing his PhD on a laptop in Gaza. And I'm like, fuck, this is Palestine. This refusal to back down, to give up, and making so much out of nothing. And this is what I'm learning Palestine to be, because it's not an area. It's an idea for me, Palestinian. And it's a beautiful idea about Samud, what you were saying. And I'm really trying to take pride in it and let go of my shame about it. No, because when I speak Arabic, I speak with a Lebanese accent and a Palestinian accent, switches. People are like, where are you from? And just keep going. I'm like, intentionally.
I just want to ask, to me, this word Samud, you said?
Yeah.
This is a new word to me. This is the first time that I heard it, and ironically from a Jewish Israeli called Elik. But now...
Sometimes Ahmad tells me, like, Khader tell me, you sound like more radical Palestinian than me, so... No.
So what does it mean, this word? What does it mean literally, and what is the concept, and what is the connotation?
Literally, it means resilience. It's sumud. It's refuse. It's almost like being planted like a tree inside where you like refusing to go away.
But like, we Israelis can understand it better than most. Because זה להיצמד לאדמה. אתה נצמד. You're not...
Oh,
we have same word in Hebrew.
So in Hebrew, samud means like very close together, like stuck together, like samud. Every time I'm again shocked by how close those two languages are, the two Semitic languages, Arabic and Hebrew, and it is so sad. Like, why can't we just... I'm going to do a spiel, okay? Why can't we just learn each other's languages? Stop fighting. Live together. Just be kind to each other. Why can't we do it? I know I'm almost sounding like this leftist, like this Zionist leftist kind.
Why can't we all get along?
But I do want us all to get along. This is all I want. This is all I want always.
thing that you're talking about. Before we started recording, when you were when you were on the phone with Alec and you were speaking Hebrew.
Yeah.
Hearing you guys speak Hebrew is so good to me, because normally when I hear Hebrew, I have a physical reaction of fear. When I'm walking them and I see a bunch, especially when it's a bunch of men, tourists, and I live in red light district where it's really wild and crazy over here, and I see Israeli guys talking Hebrew, I'm so scared. I feel like they're gonna beat me up. Like I will go across the street to the other side. It has such a physical thing. And when I hear you guys talking, I'm like, oh wow, maybe it's not the language, it's what's associated with. It's such a
I must say that as someone who grew up in Israel, I also had it from Arabic. Like when I see group of Palestinian men talking Arabic, there's the primordial mind that say they're probably saying we want to kill Jews. Even though I'm developed and I know it's not true, I had now to live with a Palestinian guy house in Seattle, to hear him speaking all day with his wife and to feel this language is like a home to me. But you need to spend in this space for a while. It's not just about reconstructing your mind.
We were speaking before we were recording also, Alec, you said you're in a process, right? And I think this process of having Palestinian becoming humanized, because you often hear like the Zionist education is about dehumanizing the Palestinian. And I think the more you meet Palestinians, obviously the more they get humanized in your eyes. And I think it's really is very, very sad and fucked up in so many ways what's happening. And people ask, outside of Israelis and Palestinians, people often ask like, why don't you care about like Sudan, or why don't you care about Congo? Like there are so many problems, but this one it affects because the US is involved and the US is the superpower around the world. So I think it is bigger than any other conflict, and it's the longest last. So there's reasons why it's not going away.
I don't have a complete answer why this. For me, I have an answer. I grew up there. I have an easy
for me it's
answer
personal.
why I care about
for us it's
more
personal.
than Sudan.
For us it's personal,
Yeah, but let's say, because Sudan is also, let's say, it's also a Holocaust. And it's also a Holocaust that happened for a long time. And I just starting now. Usually I also answer to these people, you know what, you're right. We should care also about Sudan. We should care also about Syria. We should care about everybody as a principled position. But I feel here, first of all, in this one, we're all involved. It includes all cultures. And I feel, to me, it's simple to understand. And let's say for now the genocide, it's also have a very simple answer. Just stop arming them. You cannot say it about Syria, for example. Like there it's more complex. You have more actors. Here, like you really see, you stop arming Israel and you start a process of decolonization. And there's the most powerful party, US, they have the power to stop it and they don't use it for some reason, and everybody sees it. So the solutions seem easier and in front of the eyes, yet it haven't been done. I cannot, maybe in Sudan and Syria, it's also could be figured out that easily. I don't know. I didn't research these cases, but here it seems very clear to me, and that's...
Sudan and Syria, it's turning more into a civil war, but there are always, of course, foreign actors who are funding, and a lot of them are Arabic countries. And so, like you, I also don't know enough to debate that. But yes, stopping the occupation is one, but there are like nuances to now the settler problem in like West Bank. I feel like settler is this like, I'm reducing it and maybe making a joke out of it, but like this annoying spoiled child that you brought up, and now he's out of control. So I feel like it's a little bit also hard to be like, okay, we just stopped the occupation. The embargo on the weapons has to be, for sure, but I think the settler problems is a bit more complicated, because what are you going to do? Like,
what you're going to do with those guys?
Yeah, because they're really terrifying. They're like a horror. So I don't know.
But again, if they would, the moment you stop the imperial support, these guys would not have any power. You just put some of them in jail. Some of them will just give up, and
Basically, they would be scared to continue acting the way that they are.
Yeah, it's not that's without this imperial colonial structure, it's not such a big problem. That's what I believe.
No, but
maybe I'm wrong, but
no, true.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking when you were talking, like, what do I think about all this? And to me, Palestine it's an issue within itself, of course, but it's also a symbol for everything that's going on in the world. And to me, this is why I define myself as an anarchist, okay? Because I see that all of this division, all of these, like when I think about all the countries, all the states, I just see, personally, more and more, I just see a bunch of mafias, okay, that each took over a region. And yes, it's a big mafia, okay? It's not a local mafia. But the US government is a really big mafia. The Italian government is a really big mafia. The Zionist project is a really big mafia. And every country, every single country is a mafia. And they're all fighting for domination, and they all have an area, a geographical area, where they do the protection, okay? And you pay the money for the protection. It's all, like, this is the way that I treat things more and more and more. And I think when you see what is going on in Palestine, you see things so clearly because it's like so extreme. It's like a point where things got so extreme, and the entire world is saying now, stop this, stop this, stop this. Like, so many tens and hundreds of millions of people are saying stop this, and it's not stopping. And I think people are becoming disillusioned with this idea that states, that the system, the current system, is protecting them in some way, is that their interests are being served in some way, because they identify with the Palestinians, and they see that if they happen to be in the wrong position in this, fight between the world powers, which are just big mafias, then they might be in the position of the Palestinians. And they see how little effect they have in this democracy that they live in. They see how much it's a lie. Yesterday, I saw something, some post where Kamala Harris was talking, and there was a protest in one of her conventions about Gaza, and she used her idiotic phrase, I'm speaking, that now they think it's like the Democrats in the US are now they're hot for her, and they love this phrase, I'm speaking, like it's some symbol of feminist liberation.
They made t-shirts out of it already.
Yes, they made t-shirts out of it.
What does it mean? What I missed this thing.
You know what? I want to say a few words about this, because I think it's very revealing. Okay,
but explain to me what is this I'm speaking thing? What
so,
it mean?
5 years ago, when there were the presidential debates, so there was the presidential debate between Biden and Trump, and this was one thing. And then there was another one between the vice president candidates, between Kamala Harris and what's his name? Mike Pence. And Mike Pence interrupted Kamala Harris again and again and again. And it was like, this white male interrupting a colored woman, okay? And it was very symbolic. And she pushed back. She said, I'm speaking. Stop interrupting me. I'm speaking. And you can analyze her body language and how she came to it and how genuine it was. You can say a lot of things about that, but people saw it as an act of power. Like, she was like, no, you will not tread on me. I'm speaking, okay?
I get it, okay.
And it was very impressive for a lot of people, and I can get that, I can understand that. But now
it's different.
Yes, now it's different, because what happened a couple of weeks ago was that in a convention that she did, there was a protest for Gaza, and she used this same phrase against the protesters.
It was so tone deaf.
Yes.
Wow.
It was in Michigan, where there's a lot of like Arab, voting bloc there, and they were protesting, and she it was very, you're right, it was very revealing, because she said, if you don't want Trump to win, you want Trump to win, otherwise I'm speaking, which actually her whole campaign, it's literally nothing. Her campaign is, I'm not Trump.
Yes.
She for nothing. She has no values. There's just empty identity politics. Like, I'm a colored woman. Yeah.
That's
like,
how the so-called left lost
Yes.
in Israel
Liberals,
as well.
identity politics liberals.
Yeah.
So I think this is also because she said this is a democracy in the same like 1 minute. She said this is a democracy. Everybody gets to speak, but now it's my turn to speak.
Yeah.
And I don't think that she really thinks that it's ever anybody else's turn to speak. Not really. I think she comes from a background of maybe discrimination against her as a woman, as a person of color, yes. But I think she completely connected with the powers that be, with the powers that really run things. And
she's like all of them. She's just an empty suit. And this is something the US does a lot. They put colored people in the front, like to veto at the UN, like as if like someone colored or gay or a woman, as if that makes the genocide better. Like, I mean, what does it make who's doing the killing? Like, just because
it's wonderful that now a woman is sending the bombs that are killing us.
That's amazing. Like, I mean, but who cares?
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
But Alon, I must tell you that I agree with you, but I also, from being here and seeing the American people, became more pessimistic.
So why?
Because they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. They don't know. Most of them.
So, okay, so here is, now I remember what I wanted to say.
Okay.
I looked at the comments on it was a Caitlin Johnston post about the t-shirts. We were talking about the t-shirts, Indie. And the liberals, they love this shit, and they made a t-shirt with "I'm speaking," okay? It makes them around.
By the way, of all people, this is such a random side note. Stephen King, the author, he was wearing it. He's posting. I'm like, all right, Stephen, calm down.
I was never a big fan, but now I'm even less of a fan. So I looked at comments on this post, and of course, it's people who are already inside this struggle because they follow Caitlin Johnston. Okay, so it means something about them. But I saw a lot of people saying, I don't like the Democrats anymore. They don't care about anything. They don't care about anyone. It's empty. They're exactly like the Republicans. And a lot of people are saying this. And you know, the comments that get a lot of likes. And some of these comments were, until October 7th, I was vote blue no matter who.
Yeah.
And I am now disillusioned with the Democrats, and I will not vote Democrat until they promise to promote a ceasefire and to disarm and to stop arming Israel. And there were a lot of comments that, for me, it's something that I don't remember seeing ever. Like, of course, it's not the majority. It's still a small movement, relatively. But there is an awakening of people. I see something, and this makes me not as pessimistic as I used to, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I see why you're pessimistic, Alec, but I think if we're going to talk about like the undoing of the empire, the American empire, I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime, but the seeds are sown already. I think it's going to take decades. So yes, it's frustrating, but it's already starting to happen. The mask has completely slipped. Like, if we're going to talk about, let's say, just specifically young American Jewish, students, and who are kind of going to be the future CEOs and the Ivy League schools, those people don't have the same attachment to the Zionist project as older ones. They don't.
You know, everything is like the opposite of what I grew up on. Like, I think people like you are the Jewish people friends. People who support Zionism are the people that, if they would get to call the shots, like, I don't know if Judaism could survive it without the anti-Zionist Jews. Like, it would die with Zionism, you know?
Yeah, I think the let's say, I mentioned it in my last video. I was quoting somebody said, like, the wounds of anti-Semitism need to be healed, and they can only be healed by anti-Zionist Jews. Like, that's the only, and then new will happen.
So,
Yeah.
Indy, can you tell us what things are like in Europe, where you are, specifically in the Netherlands? Like, so Elik is telling us the Americans don't care. What's going on in Europe? What
like it's not
the alignments of
completely
forces?
true, yeah, but that's the general feeling. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the general feeling. Yeah.
Well, here, I mean, there's a lot of people who care, but you obviously gravitate towards your bubble, right? So who are pro-Palestinian, but we can protest in the street. That's allowed. There's a guy on this big dam square, for example. He's been there for years. He's always holding the Palestine flag. He hasn't stopped ever since this started. There's weekly protest demonstrations. You have people on social media. You have like a lot of people demonstrating and standing up to the police, even though the police arrest. So yeah, I'm not very, it's not like Berlin, because in Germany, it's really fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh yes, in Germany it's pretty bad. Like I have a friend, she's just a hairdresser. She has nothing to do with politics, but a salon was hiring her. Like she would go do some client cut their hair in Berlin and come back. They saw that her posts, some of them were pro-Palestinian. They're like, sorry, you have to take that out, otherwise you can't work with. Yeah, in Germany it's pretty intense, but it's not like that here for sure. But there's this there's this guilt over, obviously understandable, over the Holocaust, because if we're going to talk about indoctrination, by the way, in school and re-traumatization, that also happens to all my Dutch white friends who aren't Jewish. They learn about it every year. So they're filled with guilt. And somehow they've been taught that the way to get rid of this guilt is to dump it on Palestinians.
Yeah.
And my mission is more like, I'm going to play the Zionist game. I'm going to attach Palestinianness to sex and fun and partying. Like I'm almost on this like kind of very almost intentional cartoonish like level where, Palestinian men are sexy. You want to fuck a Palestinian? Like it's a bit comical. But it's like I'll play that game, like to remove it, because it's so associated with this idea of like when you start talking, like, because I'm part of a drag house, for example, which is a big community of artists and performers and queer, blah, 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 all that. And some of them are very pro-Palestinian. Sometimes I'm shocked, but some of them are like they're disgusted by you, like that you keep talking about this. They want, because Pride and all these celebrations, they're also very corporate events.
Yes.
And there was a big scandal here over booking.com because it's the main sponsor of Pride Amsterdam. And
really?
They have, yes. Like almost €1.5 they give every year to Pride Amsterdam for the boat parade and all of that. And this year there was big ambassadors of Pride. They came together and they wrote a letter to Pride saying you have to divest from booking.com because they're refusing to take away the properties and the properties that they sell on occupied territories. And booking.com refused, by the way. And this speaks to how important, let's say, the Zionist project is to corporate America, because booking.com is headquartered in the US, even though the properties are very limited in number, like they can't be the bulk of their business. I don't know, like they're 40 properties, whatever they are, but with the West Bank, but they're like, this is not going to happen. We suggest you drop this, because in Denmark, they tried to do the same, not with booking.com, whoever the equivalent was, and the sponsor immediately pulled out. They're like, okay, you can't have your Pride.
Wow.
My girl.
Wow.
So it's showing a lesson like, okay, you cannot object too much. Like, know your place, sit the fuck down if you want the money.
I was about to ask you, and I think this is like are people connecting the dots? Because to me, when I hear what you're saying, okay, so Palestine, the issue of Palestine, this genocide is caused because of the world powers, because of the late stage capitalism and the mega corporations that have the interests connected with the US imperialism and so forth and so on. And I see this image, okay, of what the alignments are. But what you are telling me is people, they don't see this. They just want their own. Like, if I think about Pride, like what is real Pride? What is real LGBT Pride? It's being radical. It's being anti-establishment. This is the origins of this, right? And now we see the appropriation of the pride movement by the mega corporations and how everything becomes, you know.
Right, the main boss is this bank, the other bank. It's like a corporate for like straight people to come and watch it, and it's really like bizarre. The only radical kind of thing that happened at Pride was this drag house for drag kings, which is like woman the opposite of drag queen, like, you know, yes, dress men exaggerated outfits. They were the only radical ones, and they got this no pride, no in genocide. They got a banner. They didn't tell anyone in advance, and they went on the main stage at Dam Square, and they had booking.com scratched out with a line. And immediately everyone started to panic. And we know some of the organizers, they're like, oh, fuck, why didn't you tell us? They were so upset. But they're so fucking stupid that the social media person of Pride Amsterdam, they published it on their social media, that main picture with the drag king thing, no pride, genocide, with the main sponsor of Pride. So I think people are not aware, or they don't want to be aware. And it goes back to what you're talking about, this the issue with capitalism. Most people don't want to rock the boat like that. Regardless, it's not about Palestine. It's about like, just don't fuck up our party. Like, we're all getting paid, going to our work, we're just getting on, like, go shut up with this. Like, it's too inconvenient. It's that energy. And those capitalist powers that be, if it was Israeli Jews who are in their way, they would crush those as well. So it's actually not about Palestinians. They don't give a fuck. So yeah.
So I think this is one of the same problems that we see here. Like, if you think about well-intentioned Jewish Israelis, why are they Zionists? Why are they supporting the genocide? Why the main excuse, or the main reason, I think it's a real reason why they support all this, is because they just want their own, you know, party. Like you said, we want to. And if you look at people in Tel Aviv, it's actually this. Like, they want to continue partying in Tel Aviv, right? And they want to continue partying even on the fence of the concentration camp, like they did on October 7th, right? This Nova party, this is like, people wonder, how could this happen, right? How could this happen? But this is, it's not surprising to people who live in Israel, like Elik and I. It's not surprising, because the denial and the repression is so deep. They just want to continue to party. They just want to continue to party. And then when they have a party of, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people on the fence of the concentration camp, and they finally get some kind of pushback, some kind of backlash for this, they're like shocked, you know? But if you look at it objectively, there's no shock in this.
Yeah, but we don't blame, you know, I do, and in certain level, you know, I ask myself, do I blame the people in the party for being so ignorant? And, you know, I think like it's the whole system here. That's the way it's built. Like, and the more I think about October 7th and what happened, and you guys may say I'm a bit conspiratorial, I think it was, in a way, it was planned, not that they planned the Hamas attack, but they created the perfect conditions for this to happen. And what are the perfect conditions? Like, first of all, you ethnically cleanse people from some area, you lock them in some space. Then, like, you occupy it for many, many years. Then you siege it from the outside, and you build, you put your settlements next to it, and then you don't guard them, and then you let it be like this, and you know in your head as a Zionist, and I'm not saying, now I'm talking not as the common Zionist, I'm talking about as the Zionist who shape reality, the one in position in power. You see those people, you know they're there, you know that that it's going to explode. And you know that you will have to get rid of them at some point, because you cannot have them there, because you don't have solution for them. You don't intend to give them independent state. You don't intend to give them citizenship. You don't want to give them nothing, basically. So you know something like this will happen, and then you will have an excuse to go for the next phase. So that's why I think people in power knew something like this is going to happen in that shape or form.
Agree.
If they didn't know it like consciously, they subconsciously, I don't know. Yeah.
I see why you're apprehensive and hesitant to call it because it's conspiracy theory, but I don't think it's conspiracy theory because so many people, and I heard also Nurit Pella talk about like so many people in the, I don't know, what's the plural of kibbutz? Kibbutzim?
Kibbutzim,
yeah. Many of them were like observing and saying, hey, we're watching these people train and they're like kind of like there's paragliders, like something is about to happen. And it was like ignored. So I agree with you. It's not like Netanyahu and a few people were like, oh, let's like moving them like puppets. But indeed, like it is the perfect storm to excuse to complete this project. So yes, I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think it makes sense, but it's probably too hard to hear because it goes back to, are they really sacrificing these young Israelis like at the party? Like, are they that cruel and ruthless? Like, that's the hard pill to swallow, I think.
I don't know if it's cruelty and ruthlessness. I think it's just they don't care.
They don't,
They have their own goals and they want to achieve their own goals and they have their ways to achieve their goals. And to them, it makes sense to do this. And they don't really care what happens about the collateral damage. This is exactly when people tell me, but the soldiers, the Israeli soldiers are not killing Palestinian children and women on purpose. And I'm like, I don't know if it's on purpose. I think it's sometimes on purpose and sometimes not on purpose. But the important thing here is that they don't care. And when they don't care, it's all collateral damage, collateral damage.
I think the person who tell you it's collateral damage, therefore it's justified, he also doesn't care. Because he wouldn't accept that someone will call his family a collateral damage, right? Like if they kill some murderer next to him, for example. Like
exactly. Yeah, this idea, this fog of war thing they keep talking about, like, oh, it's the fog of war. And so then why wasn't October 7th fog of war? Like, I think it's horrible what happened on October 7th, of course, but if this is fog of war, why can't that be also the fog of war and people just died? Like, you can't do this like that. It's like Nurit Beled, when I lip sync to her, she said she's like, everybody on this land is a victim of this occupation. Everybody. And it's really
her own daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's I think everybody's suffering because of this. So I don't know. But I told you guys, we said this off camera, but maybe it's nice to say it in this because then we can tease something that I would love to. I already know I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna make a drag reinterpretation of this combo where I could
sure go for it.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, you have our approval. We would love to see that.
But yeah,
I would like you to do also drag to my songs as well. Do you do it for music also? I guess you do, right? Drag is started the music thing.
Yes, I mean, traditionally in clubs, obviously drag is about lip syncing songs, so I do that. But I prefer spoken word online because it's, I don't know, it's more movie-like, but of course I can combine both. And what's interesting with songs is that normally I avoid it because then I can't monetize the stuff because it's someone else's music or copyright blocks or something. But if it's and you give me permission to use it, I would send me some stuff that you think is good, like that you like.
Yeah, maybe the Palestine song. It could be a nice gesture to be lipsed by Palestinian. It could be really cool.
Yeah, and also I can put pieces. I think what I would like to do in this is go in and out of reality, go into you, and then me, and then playing you guys. I think it would be fun. I think I want to make it about, because I'm really very curious about how your evolution process. I'm obsessed, by the way, with how Jewish people feel about this. And I often hear people like, don't center Jewish voices. And I get it. Like a lot of anti-Zionist Jews say that because I think they feel guilty. They're like, no, we need to talk about Palestinians. Yes, I agree. But I think liberation cannot be done without Jewish voices. Like, it doesn't make sense to say that it can I don't know. For me,
the whole point is that we're all in this together, is that we're not against each other, that we need to solve this together. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah. Also, in saying that your voice is important is not putting myself down. But of course, I don't represent all Palestinians because we're not a monolith. Like, not all Jews are a monolith. I think some people will disagree, don't like me. Even some Palestinians don't like that I'm gay, for example.
Yeah.
But, too bad, babes. Like, I don't know. God made me this way.
I wanted to ask you about this since you brought it up. I wanted to ask you, like, I don't even know what to ask, but I'm sure there is a lot of like mindfuck and complications with being both gay and Palestinian. And we're talking about identity a lot, right? And you have these two identities, and how do they go together? How do they clash? Like,
they go together beautifully, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because that's part of like also becoming proud. And honestly, for me, like the Palestinian-Israeli thing still causes me a lot of pain, so I get worked up a lot. But the gay thing, honestly, I don't care. Like, I understand there are homophobic people in the world, but it doesn't go under my skin. Yes. I'm like, okay, you're a homophobe, bye, good luck. But obviously the Arab world is not a gay utopia, you know, like people, but it's not that, I mean, I'm out to all my family. Some of them don't like it, don't approve of it, of course, but no, I've never faced problems. No one's ever wanted to throw me off a roof, just FYI for all the Zionists.
Yeah, this is so weird. Like, where did they get this? Right? The throwing the roof. Did that ever happen?
The throwing from the roof. I know that Hamas threw Fatah people from the roof when they tried to do this coup in Gaza. And when there's fight between them, they were throwing each other from rooftops. I think this did happen a few times. I don't know. Like, because it's a strong image I have.
But for some reason, it got connected to the LGBTQ rights issue, right?
Yeah. But that's an American Israeli narrative that they use because it happened with ISIS, so far away from Palestine. And it's not, I mean, obviously it's horrible, but I think the way they use it, like when Netanyahu gave the speech at Congress, like this is part of very well rehearsed, studied, like narrative weaving. Like he got up there in Congress and he managed to put that in, like they throw people off cranes and they don't give women rights to women, and then back to the speech. Like, this is very calculated. But no, it doesn't happen. Yeah, I mean, but if we're going to talk about cruelty against gay Palestinians, you know, the Israeli secret police, or like the Shin Bet, is that
Shin Bet,
they you know, threaten Palestinians that they find are to be gay to blackmail them into becoming informants. So then you put these young Palestinian gays in a double bind where if they're found out to be informants, they are going to be killed by their family, not because of being gay, but so it's but I don't have that experience. I'm a Palestinian in the diaspora, right? So it's different, but it's the most of homophobia I got was from Zionists who are obsessed with my nail polish and my hair. I start to do on purpose. I'm like, I start acting more gay just to piss them off. But it's I find it absurd, and I find it distraction from what's really going on. Like,
I want to say that for me, my profile picture on Facebook and on Instagram, I have nail polish on my fingers as well. And the only homophobic reactions that I have a lot of pro-Palestinian people now following me. I have a lot of Palestinian people following me. I have a lot of Arab people following me. Zero homophobic reactions. I'm straight, by the way, but when I put nail polish on, it's like, you know, challenging to the you know heteronormative society, right? So I did get homophobic reactions. I did get transphobic reactions, but it was always from Israelis. It was always from Zionists, only from them. Only from them. Because I think it's very telling, right? That it's all projection. It's all projection.
It's all projection. It's also part of the Hasbara talking points. Like there's a talking point called chicken for KFC. And they all it's with like an emoji, as if like me standing up for Palestinians is like a chicken standing up for KFC. Like I'm standing up for my killer.
But And I think those people, they don't care about Palestinians, they don't care about gay people, and they don't care about chickens. They don't care about anyone. These are the people who oppress all three groups and other groups as well.
Oh yeah, I want to circle back to your love of animals, because I love animals, but obviously I'm still not vegan. I'm sorry. I know that makes you very, very angry, and I've seen your passion about it, and I always feel like every time I hear you talk about it, I'm like, fuck, okay, today I'm gonna become a vegan. Today, every time I hear you say it, so I'm definitely headed in that journey. But I think the idea of using the gayness is it's irrelevant, I think, to this topic. Like if we're emancipating ourselves as gay Palestinians, we will on our own, and you're not going to emancipate us by killing us and stealing our land.
Of course, it connects back to what we said about the corporations using, gay pride for their own interests, right? Because this is what the West, does now. They present themselves as if they are the liberators of women, the liberators of LGBTQ people, the liberators of everyone, right? And they come and they bring democracy and they bring freedom and they bring, rights to everyone. But the opposite is that gay people in Gaza are being slaughtered now. Like what can be worse than being killed en masse, right? So the situation of gay people in Gaza has become way worse by the involvement of the Zionist regime and of the US imperialist regime. So this is ridiculous and the opposite of the truth when they do this. Well, pinkwashing is just pinkwashing, right?
Exactly. So where do we go from here, you guys? What do we do? What are we gonna do?
What do we do?
What, in this conversation or
conversation? No, I think generally, right? Like generally. What do we do as people who are sane and looking at all this madness, right? That's what you meant.
Yeah.
Silence.
So, Alec, you said something before we started this conversation. You said something about this being the real free Palestine, right? You want to raise this point again, like this conversation, right?
Yeah, because I think, I feel like creating this community with people, with Palestinians, and I made this song with, I came to Ahmad's place and he invited me and we did this, we've been a few days on a beautiful place on an island, and we went through some really intense healing journey together, and I came up with this simple song that it says like, even if you're Muslim or a Christian or a Jew, what I want for me is what I want for you. And between the river and the sea, what I want for you is what I want for me. And it's very simple.
Beautiful.
But Ahmad told me like that's everything. The moment this is what you truly believe, and I believe you want it genuinely, this is what we ask for, and it's very simple, and when we create it between us, I feel like this is the free Palestine, right?
For sure. And it's also this idea, because I also hear always Alon talk about I'm Palestinian. And I feel like I love it because it's also the idea in itself of pitting Jews against Palestinians is so wrong, because why can't you be a Palestinian Jew?
Yeah.
This used to be completely possible and normal,
So it's like, it's the idea, the framing is already is a problem. The fact that these two are against each other. It's but it's almost like whenever I hear free Palestine, I feel like it's another way of saying free the mind.
Yes.
Of the conditioning. And we're all conditioned in very different ways.
So this is maybe the deep way for me to answer your question. For me, the real thing that we can do is to free ourselves from all the conditioning that has been going on, And this conditioning is always characterized by separation and by pitting certain groups against each other. And this comes back to what you said about, you said that I love animals. It's not the point. It's not the point. The point is that I see the separation. Okay, so here is a fact. All humans are a kind of animal, and all animals are one big family. This is just a biological fact, okay? That we are all one big family. There is one, amoeba or some kind of primordial creature, and we are all children of this creature, and we are all related. We are all, if you take any two animals, any animal and any two organisms, and you go back through the tree of life, you will find a common ancestor. It is just a fact that we are all one big family. And we have been taught again and again and again, so in so many different ways and so violently, and from the moment that we are born, that we are not a family, that we are different tribes separated, and that we are against each other. And this is always in the interest of people who want to gain power, because when they separate between us, they can keep their power. And when we are united, they cannot keep their power. So I feel like this is, like, for me, the most radical thing that I do is to stop thinking that I'm separate and to stop thinking that I'm above or below anyone else. And for me, when we create these connections and when we talk together with each other and when we share ideas and when we accept each other, this is the real radical process that we are doing, and this is the way to really free ourselves and everyone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Say something. I just got an flash forward into somewhere very far in the future. Someone is going to watch our video, the three of us talking, and be like, oh my God, we're experiencing what they were dreaming about.
Yeah.
I really think it's really going to happen, but I don't know when.
Yeah. Yeah, I also don't know when. Sometimes
it's gonna be funny to them almost, like, oh my God, these guys were so like, they're so cute, they're being like, they're worried about this, and it's like in the past now. But yeah,
but it won't happen if we don't like, we're planting the seeds, and if we don't plant these seeds, then nothing is going to grow. So this, I feel like this is the real process that we're doing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, you guys.
Okay, so on this note,
we can end.
any final comments before we end this? I think it's going to be a long episode as well. Again.
Yeah, I don't know for how long we talk. Do you know, Alon?
I can calculate. Oh, I think it's over 2 hours again. It's like, this is the time that we do, like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like that.
But it's good. I mean, it went in so many different places. So I think it's
never boring.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't boring. And oh my God, I have so much love for you guys, and also so much gratitude for what you do. So great.
Completely mutual. Completely mutual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always think that like the best sign that I'm doing the right thing is when people I appreciate me back. So so indeed, this is the situation with you. Like, I appreciate what you create, I appreciate what you bring to the world, and seeing that you appreciate me is like, okay, so I'm doing the right thing.
Same. I was waiting on like pins and needles to see what you guys think of the video, because you feature in it quite a lot. So I was like, I hope they like it. And
I wanted to say thank you how you finished it, because this for me it was very strong moment in this video with Saleh, and I was kind of holding it. I didn't burst into tears, but I felt like we're doing a healing process live, of like how peace and reconciliation truly should look like. And you cut that moment and you put it in your video, and I felt like it was really nice.
I watched all your videos till the end, because that was the end of the video.
Right.
And yeah, it was beautiful, because also, yeah, the dynamic, it wasn't about power between you and Saleh. It was like kind of two people who are clearly like obviously distraught and in pain and in sadness about what's happening, and you're giving each other comfort in the best way you know how. You don't, you're not politicians. So it's like, yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Well, I hope to meet you one day in person. And yeah.
Let's have hummus in Palestine, in a free Palestine. This is the hope that I have, to have hummus in a free Palestine. Right. So simple.
You know what's so funny? I always think, like, I think of my dad watching me now, like doing all this stuff, and I've become like a little boy all of a sudden. I'm like, oh my God, he's probably now happy and proud that I'm doing this, and like, because I was always like tell him like to get over this stuff, but now I completely get it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We didn't. I feel like I would have liked to ask you more about this journey back to your being Palestinian and how it feels like.
Well, we can talk again at some point. We can make more. I think it's okay. And
let's promise our audience. Let's commit to our audience that we will do another conversation, and they can look forward to it.
Yeah, and check in this channel, and I guess a lot of them already know it because I guess but
yeah.
I guess many watch this episode because of you actually. So if you're new to us, check out our other episodes.
Post it once you guys post it. I'm gonna put the link on my community page and make sure that everybody comes to your channel for sure.
Okay, amazing. Okay, guys, so let's thank the audience for listening to us again, ramble on for well over 2 hours. Thank you so much, Indie, for this amazing conversation. I had high expectations and high hopes for this conversation, and it was well above and beyond my...
the people pleaser in me is very satisfied. I love doing a good job. Yeah. Good. I'm so happy also as well. Like, yeah, it's
okay, so bye everybody, and thanks for watching.